You know, what is arguably one of the strangest things about modern human life?
Hmm.
It's the fact that we consciously invite these tiny apex predators into our living rooms.
Right. We just let them walk right in.
We give them names like Mr. Whiskers or Luna.
Mhm.
We buy them the specialized furniture that looks like, I don't know, abstract art.
Which they totally ignore.
They absolutely ignore it in favor of the cardboard box that it came in, and we let them sleep on our faces. We are, of course, talking about the creature that is, statistically speaking, the most popular pet on the planet right now.
And yet, if we're all being totally honest with ourselves, they remain fundamentally unknowable.
Yeah.
They're strangers.
Exactly. We're talking about cats, but not the cute internet meme version of cats doing funny jumps or falling off a chair.
No.
We're staring into the eyes of the creature that is probably staring right back at you from the sofa right now, judging you. We're doing a deep dive today into the cat as a literary obsession.
A huge one.
We are unpacking tales of wonder and imagination, this massive, just sprawling anthology edited by the legendary Ellen Datlow. And the mission here isn't just to retell a bunch of cool stories. We really want to figure out why. Why do fiction writers, especially in horror, fantasy, and sci-fi, return to the cat over and over and over again as a vehicle for the supernatural?
It's a heavy collection, and frankly a necessary one. Because as popular as cats are, there's a really distinct difference in how they appear in literature compared to dogs.
Oh, for sure.
And Datlow sets the stage perfectly right in the introduction with this really sharp observation. She compares the evolutionary and, I guess, the literary history of dogs versus cats.
This part stuck out to me immediately. She argues that dogs have basically spent thousands of years genetically and psychologically engineering themselves to be, well, to be people, or at least to be completely compatible with people.
Right. A dog is an open book. It wants you to understand it. It has facial expressions we recognize, guilt, joy, excitement. It has eyebrows, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it does.
A dog has evolved to fit neatly into the human hierarchy. But Datlow points out that cats have done almost none of that. They haven't really adapted their psychology to fit ours. They retain this. She calls it a darker image of willfulness, self-interest, and mystery.
And for a writer, that mystery is better than gold. It's a completely blank canvas.
It's a void. And, you know, nature abhors a vacuum, but writers love a vacuum because we don't know what the cat is actually thinking because their body language is so subtle and kind of alien compared to dogs. We can project anything onto them.
Anything.
Our deepest fears, our weirdest desires, our superstitions. Is the cat a guardian angel? Is it a spy for a witch? Is it a demon? Is it, I don't know, your ex-girlfriend who shapeshifted into a furry body just to torment you?
We are going to hit literally all of those scenarios today. We've got a roadmap that takes us from the quiet countryside of Neil Gaiman, where cats are literal warriors fighting these battles we can't see, to the surreal, almost nightmarish landscapes of Kelly Link, where cats are, well, they're basically clothing. And finally, to some truly dark places where cats become these awful mirrors for our own broken relationships.
It's going to be a strange trip. We're moving from, like, high fantasy to really grim domestic tragedy.
So let's start at the threshold, the door, the idea of the cat as the guardian. And honestly, there is no better place to start than Neil Gaiman's story, The Price.
This story is absolutely terrifying, and it's terrifying primarily because Gaiman has gone on record, and this is noted in the source material, saying that the events in it are more or less true.
Right. Which is fine if you're writing a memoir about, I don't know, gardening or baking bread.
Yeah.
But this is a story about a nightly battle with the devil. So when he says true, it just adds this layer of dread to every single sentence you read.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it starts so domestically. Yeah. The narrator, who is essentially Gaiman himself, is living in this old country house. It's a very idyllic setup. He's got a family. He's a writer.
Yeah.
He rescues strays.
A classic Gaiman protagonist, really.
Totally. And then this specific stray arrives. He's just called the Black Cat. No name, just the Black Cat. Gaiman describes him as looking like a small panther. He's older, he's tough, clearly been around the block, but he's remarkably gentle with the family, with the kids.
He adopts them. You know how cats do that. They just walk in and sort of announce, okay, this is my house now. You may continue to live here.
Precisely. But then the horror starts. And it's not ghosts, it's not jump scares, it's injuries.
And it's not just like a little scratch on the ear from a bramble bush. Every single morning, this poor cat he's wrecked.
Wrecked is the right word. Gaiman describes these deep gashes, chunks of fur just torn out. A slice gone from his lips like he's been in a knife fight. The cat is being systematically torn apart night after night.
So the narrator, he's logical. He thinks, okay, raccoons, or maybe there's a really aggressive feral cat in the neighborhood.
Yeah, the logical explanation.
He does the responsible thing. He takes the cat to the vet, gets him stitched up, antibiotics, the whole 9 yards. And then to protect him, he keeps the cat locked safely in the basement to heal.
And this crucial plot beat, this is the moment you have to pay attention to. While the black cat is locked in the basement, supposedly safe from the raccoons, the family's life completely falls apart.
It's like a cascade of bad luck. But bad luck almost feels too light a term. It's more like entropy. The laws of physics are just fraying at the edges of their lives.
It really is. The baby slips in the bath and almost drowns. The daughter is just miserable at summer camp, totally out of character for her. A major writing project that the narrator is depending on just collapses. The wife hits a deer with the car.
It feels like chaos is literally leaking into the house, but the narrator doesn't connect the dots yet. He just thinks, man, we are having a hell of a week.
Right.
Eventually the cat heals, he feels bad for him, he lets him out, and boom, the physical injuries return immediately, that very first night.
And just as suddenly, the bad luck inside the house stops.
Exactly. So the narrator decides to play detective. He remembers he got this gadget for Christmas that he never uses, a pair of night vision binoculars.
Oh, that's right.
And he decides he's going to sit out on the porch in the freezing cold and finally see what is attacking this poor animal.
And this is where the deep dive really begins, because the description of what he sees is just, it's visceral. It's so unsettling.
He looks through the green lens of the binoculars, turning the world into this ghostly electronic landscape. He sees the black cat standing on the path, and facing him is, well, he calls it the devil.
He calls it the devil, but the shifting imagery is what really gets me. It's not just a guy with a pitchfork and a pointy tail.
Not at all.
No, it's a shapeshifter. This is crucial to understanding the threat. At first, it's like a bullman, a minotaur. Then it flickers and it becomes a woman speaking French who spits acid or something corrosive.
And then the worst one.
Oh, yeah. It becomes this hybrid of a jackal and a hyena, but, and this is the detail that just haunts me, its fur is moving. Maggots in the night vision. Glistening, squirming, writhing maggots making up the entire coat of this beast. It represents decay, rot, and just pure malevolence.
And the black cat isn't running, he's not cowering, he's engaging, he's fighting it.
That image of this small domestic house cat walking calmly down the steps to meet this churning mass of maggots and evil. It's so heroic, it's biblical. The narrator realizes in that moment the cat is holding the line.
The entity is trying to get to the house, is trying to get to the family, and the cat is the only thing standing in the way.
And that's where the title comes in. The price isn't about money. It's about the physical toll required to keep evil at bay. The narrator understands that the cat is acting like a conductor or a sponge.
Oh, a sponge, that's a perfect word for it.
It takes the physical damage so the family doesn't have to take the metaphysical damage. The scratches on the cat are the price for the baby not drowning.
It completely reframes the whole idea of the aloof cat. We always joke that cats are ignoring us, or they're arrogant, or they're just waiting for us to feed them. But Gaiman suggests that maybe that distance is actually focus. Maybe they're working a job we just can't see.
It's a benevolent interpretation of the stranger. The stranger in your house is actually a mercenary you didn't hire, but who is fighting a war for you anyway. You don't know where he comes from, you don't know why he fights, but he is taking the hits for you.
It's benevolent, but it's still terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it implies that the world is just full of these invisible threats, that every night there's something on your porch trying to get in.
Yes.
Without the cat, the baby drowns. Without the cat, the car crashes. We are just lucky we have these little furry guardians absorbing the glows for us.
And if we pivot just slightly, we can see a different version of this kind of boundary guardian in the Lewis Carroll excerpt from Through the Looking Glass.
Oh, right. Alice and her kittens. This is such a classic, but looking at it right after reading Gaiman, it changes the whole flavor of it.
It really, really does. So Alice is playing with her kittens, Dinah, Snowdrop, and Kitty. But you have to notice the power dynamic. In Gaiman's story, the human is helpless, and the cat is the powerful protector. In Carroll's world, Alice is the one holding all the power. She's the one threatening the little black kitten.
She threatens to put it through the mirror into Looking Glass house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She holds the kitten right up to the mirror and speculates about this other world. I wonder if they'd give you milk in there. She's using the cat as a conceptual bridge, as a sort of probe to explore her own imagination.
That's a great distinction. For Alice, the cat is a tool to explore this other world. For Gaiman's narrator, the cat is a barrier protecting his reality from the dark imagination lurking just outside.
So in both cases, the cat sits right on that threshold between the mundane and the magical. For Alice, the cat is the key to the door. For Gaiman, the cat is the lock on the door.
Which makes them the perfect subject for our next section. Because if a cat can stand on the line between the human world and the spirit world, what happens when that line gets erased entirely?
We're talking transformation, shape-shifting. This is a huge trope in folklore. Witches becoming cats, cats becoming people. We have two stories here that take that trope and just run in completely different directions. One is kind of like an urban fantasy action heist movie.
Yeah.
And the other is this dark, twisting, and deeply strange fairy tale.
You're talking about Charles DeLinth's Dark Eyes, Faith, and Devotion versus Kelly Link's Catskin?
Let's start with The Limp. This felt very grounded, at least initially. It's pure urban fantasy, but it starts in a taxi cab.
It does. We have this taxi driver narrator. He's an ex-con. He's trying to stay straight, trying to live a normal, quiet life. And he picks up this incredibly beautiful woman named Louisa, who just drops a bomb on him.
A huge one.
She says her ex-boyfriend is a brujo, a witch, a sorcerer, and he has kidnapped her cat, whose name is Patience.
I love the setup. It's a classic rescue the princess story. But the princess is a cat, and the knight in shining armor is a taxi driver who she needs to be her getaway driver. Exactly. But there's a rule. There's always a rule in these stories. She warns him, whatever you do not look into his eyes.
Which is classic folklore. It's Medusa, it's basilisks. The eyes are the weapon.
And our driver, he's street smart. He decides if he's going to rob a wizard, he needs a weapon. But he can't use a gun. He's on parole. He absolutely can't get caught with a firearm. So he goes to a hardware store and he grabs a bag of diatomaceous earth.
Okay, we have to pause here. For the listener who isn't a gardener, what exactly is diatomaceous earth? It sounds like something from a sci-fi movie.
It sounds super technical, but it's actually very common. It's a powder made from the fossilized remains of tiny aquatic organisms called diatoms.
Okay.
To us, to human skin, it feels like chalk dust or flour. But at a microscopic level, it's basically tiny, sharp shards of glass. Gardeners use it to kill insects like slugs because it just shreds their exoskeletons and dehydrates them.
That is nasty. Effective, but nasty. So they break into the brujo's house.
The wizard confronts them, tries to hypnotize the driver using the eyes, and the driver just throws a handful of fossilized glass dust right into his face.
Blinding him instantly.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
A really clever, low-tech solution to a high-magic problem. But the real twist comes during the escape. The brujo is defeated, but Louisa, she just vanishes. She disappears right out of her clothes.
And running out of the room is a cat, carrying a kitten.
So we, and the narrator, are left with this question. Was Louisa a woman who turned into a cat, or was she always a cat who figured out how to look like a woman just long enough to hire a taxi?
And DeLinth's point, which I love, is that it doesn't matter.
It absolutely doesn't matter. The driver adopts them. He takes the mother cat and the kitten home. And he says, I don't know if they're really cats who are pretending to be human or humans that got turned into cats. And he decides his only job is to just make a home for them, to be kind.
It's the ultimate acceptance of the stranger. He doesn't need to categorize them or understand the magic to love them. He basically says, look, life is weird. I have a cat now. Maybe she used to be a woman. As long as she eats the tuna, we're good.
It's a really warm, hopeful ending. It suggests that the fluidity of the cat, its mystery, is something we can live with. It can be a good thing. But then you have Kelly Link.
Oh, man.
And her story, Catskin. And if DeLinth is about accepting that fluidity, Link is about the absolute horror of it.
Catskin is wild. Reading it felt like a fever dream. It's just so rich with this bizarre, unsettling, and internally consistent lore.
It is. It's a dark fairy tale that subverts everything. It starts with a dying witch leaving an inheritance for her children. She leaves her son, who's named Small, a hairbrush, and her cats.
While the other kids get the car and the books.
Right. And one cat in particular stands out. A white cat with red tufts of fur who calls herself the Witch's Revenge. And this cat talks.
She talks, and she orchestrates everything that happens next.
She does. The world building here is just fascinating and so creepy. The cat explains to Small that there's a long history of house cats. She says that ages ago, people used to bury children under the foundations of new houses to bring luck and stability.
Which is a gruesome distortion of real folklore. Foundation sacrifices were a real belief in many cultures.
Exactly. But the cat says that eventually people got squeamish and they switched to burying cats instead, hence the term house cats. It frames the domestic cat as this foundational sacrificial object that literally holds the home together.
But the cat in this story, the witch's revenge, she is not a victim. She is the mastermind. She helps Small get revenge on the person who killed his mother, and she does it by making him a suit, a catskin suit.
This was the part that made my skin crawl. It's not like she skins a dead cat with an ice. It's implied that cats can just unzip themselves.
Yes, that's the perfect way to put it. There are scenes where the witch's revenge pulls out these cat skins, and they are described as these loose, light disguises. And inside them, they find gold coins. Link creates this whole economy of magic where the cat is a container for wealth and power and transformation.
So Small puts on this warm, sticky suit of catskin, and he physically transforms into a cat with 5 tails. And he goes on this mission of vengeance with the witch's revenge.
And the vengeance is absolute. They find the enemy, another witch, a man named Lack, and the cat just rips his throat out. But then they find Lack's children, and it turns out they're cats too. Or maybe humans wearing cat skins. It's never quite clear.
Like those nested Russian dolls of identity.
Sure.
And at the end, the witch's revenge, the cat, she turns these other cats into humans so that they can marry Small's human siblings and create a new, powerful family.
It treats species like clothing. You put on the human suit for the wedding, you put on the cat suit for the murder.
It completely destabilizes the idea of identity. In Delint's story, the cat was a person to be loved. In Link's story, the cat is a tool, a weapon, a currency, and a disguise. It suggests that the stranger in the house might be a stranger to themselves.
Or that cat and human are just roles we play, and that the cat might actually be the one directing the play.
Which is a terrifying thought when you look at your own pet curled up on the rug.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, are you really a cat, or are you just wearing that because it's convenient for your larger, inscrutable plan?
Great. Well, speaking of being a sidekick to a feline overlord, let's move to section 3. We've done physical protection and we've done physical transformation. Now we need to talk about the mind, about obsession.
We have 2 stories here that deal with men who are so obsessed with a feline form in one way or another that they use it as a doorway out of reality.
First up is A.R. Moreland's No Heaven Will Not Ever Heaven Be. The story felt very poignant to me, very melancholic. It's about a man named Hobart Gurney. He's a barn painter.
But not just any barn painter. He has a very specific niche. He paints these huge ads for cats chewing tobacco. And his trademark is that he paints these incredibly detailed, massive individual cats on the sides of barns.
And he paints them all from memory. He calls them the little girls. He gives them all names: Mish Mish, Prissy, Smokey. The narrator of the story, a photographer, meets him and realizes these aren't just corporate logos to Gurney. They are his companions. They are his family.
There's this heartbreaking confession that Gurney makes. He tells the narrator about his deepest fantasy. He says he wants to be small, just like a cat, and just sleep in a warm pile of kittens.
To sleep in a warm pile, it's such a primal, comforting image. He wants to dissolve into that collective warmth. He's lonely, he's old, the world is cold and hard, and he just wants that soft, furry oblivion.
But the story takes a dark, or maybe a transcendent, turn. Gurney is found dead in the grass near one of his paintings. He's curled in a fetal position. The official cause of death is a heart attack, complicated by fire ants.
But the narrator implies something else entirely. He talks about the rough tongues of big cats. The implication is that Gurney finally got his wish. He was licked into the afterlife by the spirits of the very cats he painted.
It's a literal consumption. He wanted to join them, and so they took him. It completely blurs the line between artistic creation and physical reality. His art became the gateway to his own personal heaven.
And his heaven is just being with the cats. The title of the story is the epitaph on his tombstone. No heaven will not ever heaven be unless my cats are there to welcome me.
It's a sentiment I think a lot of cat owners would agree with. But Moreland makes it so visceral. It's not just about meeting Fluffy at the pearly gates. It's about being physically subsumed into the feline collective. It's beautiful and deeply unsettling at the same time.
Now, contrast that warmth, that desire for comfort, with Jeffrey Ford's The Manticore spell. This isn't a domestic cat we're talking about here. It's a manticore.
Right. A whole different kind of feline. It's got the body of a lion, the face of a human, and the tail of a scorpion. It's a monster. But the core obsession is similar. The wizard in the story, a man named Watkin, is obsessed with this creature because it killed his wife.
But not just killed her. This is where the spell comes in. The manticore has a stinger with a very, very specific kind of venom.
Yes. The venom doesn't just kill you, it paralyzes your memory. Or rather, it traps the victim in an eternal loop of a single specific, beautiful memory. For his wife, it was a memory of a summer house by the sea.
So if you get stung, you don't die immediately. You drift off into this eternal mental vacation while your body fails.
Exactly. And Watkin, the wizard, is drowning in grief. He manages to capture the manticore that killed his wife. But instead of killing it in revenge, he cuts off the stinger and uses it on himself.
He wants to join her in that hallucination. He chooses the poison because the poison is the only place where she still exists for him.
And the apprentice, who is the narrator, is left to deal with the aftermath. He has to bury the manticore's severed head. And the head, it speaks.
It just keeps whispering one word over and over.
Eternity.
It's so chilling. Both of these stories, Moreland's and Ford's, are about men who find the real world unbearable. Gurney is crushingly lonely. Watkin is shattered by grief. They look at the feline form, whether it's a beautiful barn painting or a terrifying monster, and they see a door out of their pain.
But notice the difference in the door. For Gurney, it's a warm, fuzzy pile. It's comfort. For Watkin, it's a scorpion sting and a mental prison. It's pain.
But both are a form of surrender. You surrender your humanity to become something else or to be somewhere else, and the cat or the cat-like creature is the agent of that transition.
It's heavy stuff, but
Yeah.
I think it gets even heavier in our next section. We're moving from magical escapism and obsession to the tragedy of disconnection, section 4.
This is the section that really hit me. These stories aren't about cats protecting us or taking us to heaven. They are about cats highlighting how deeply messed up our human relationships can be. We have Catch by Ray Vokspich and Not Waving by Michael Marshall Smith. Let's start with Catch. This story is it's just deeply surreal.
To say the very least. The premise is a metaphor brought to horrifying life. The narrator works a job where he stands in a concrete box and he just tosses cats back and forth with a partner.
Tossing cats. The stated purpose is to keep them alive, to keep them in motion.
Right. And his partner in the other concrete box is his wife, Lucy. But Lucy isn't speaking to him. She is just radiating silent fury.
And we find out why. The backstory is that the narrator, at home, in a moment of thoughtlessness, stupidity, he tossed their infant daughter to Lucy across the living room.
And that's a nice catch.
Ooh. Yeah, and Lucy did catch the baby, but she was, understandably, horrified. She stormed out, and now they're at work in these masks with cages on them, tossing these cats back and forth.
The narrator describes the stages the cats go through: defiance, resistance, resignation, despair, and finally death. It's horrifying. But it's so clearly a metaphor for their relationship. They're just keeping this thing in the air, this toxic dynamic back and forth, until it dies.
And the cats have cages on their faces. The narrator and Lucy have cages on their faces. It's this perfect, awful mirror image of entrapment and emotional isolation.
The narrator says this line that just sums up the whole tragedy. He says, "I know what I did. I just don't know why it pissed her off."
Wow.
That line shows how completely disconnected he is from the emotional reality of his wife. He treats the baby like a cat, and he treats the cats like widgets. There's no empathy there.
And the cat is the innocent victim caught in the middle. It represents the fragility of trust. You toss something precious, and even if the other person catches it.
The act of tossing it might have already broken the trust forever.
And then we have Not Waving by Michael Marshall Smith. I have to say, this story just wrecked me.
I think it is the darkest story in the entire collection, in my opinion. And it's so effective because it's incredibly grounded in the quiet, mundane misery of a failing relationship.
The narrator, Mark, lives with his partner, Nancy. Nancy is a high-powered corporate type, but she's suffering. She has a severe eating disorder, bulimia.
And Mark knows, but he doesn't know how to help. He's passive. The story describes him as bleakly accepting of the situation. They are just living these parallel lives of quiet desperation in the same house.
And then enter the computer courier, a woman named Alice. She brings him a cable for his computer, and it's like color enters his gray world for the first time.
And with Alice come the cats.
Yes. Alice has this magical, almost witch-like connection to cats. She can make this little noise and then just come running to her. Mark starts seeing cats everywhere. There's this one specific dark brown cat that starts watching his house.
The cat represents the possibility of a different life, a life with Alice, a life where things are wild and magical and connected. There's that beautiful scene where Mark and Alice are by a canal and they're just surrounded by 20 cats. And Alice tells him this story about how this used to be a hill where cats met for 1,000 years.
It's beautiful. It's this glimpse of a hidden magical world that's running parallel to his sad gray one. Mark falls in love with Alice, but then reality crashes back in.
Nancy finds a hair in their bed, a dark brown hair.
And she assumes it's a woman's hair. She assumes Mark is cheating on her.
And Mark is emotionally cheating, let's be clear about that. But the hair... In a moment of panic, Nancy accuses him of bringing that bloody cat into the bedroom. Nancy despises cats.
And Mark, in this awful moment of panic and guilt, he decides he has to stay with Nancy. He breaks it off with Alice. He chooses the safe, miserable path. He chooses the duty of caring for Nancy over the magic and possibility with Alice.
But the twist... Oh, the twist at the end is just one of the most horrible things I've ever read.
It's awful.
Mark comes home. Nancy's cooked dinner.
Yeah.
She's acting strange. She's cooked this curry, but it has too much spice. It's overpowering.
And later, Mark goes to the trash to throw away the bones from the meal. And he sees a bag. And inside the bag...
It's not fabric. It's rich chestnut brown flecked with red.
It's the fur of the cat, the one he had befriended.
The implication is that Nancy killed the cat.
Not just killed it, she cooked it. Nancy killed the cat, the symbol of the other woman, the symbol of his hope, the stranger in the house, and she fed it to Mark to punish him.
It is absolutely horrific. It's just grotesque.
But look at what it signifies. By killing the cat, she killed the possibility of escape for him. Mark is trapped. He says at the very end of the story, no matter how long I sit and wait, the cats will never come.
The magic is gone. He's just a guy living in a house with a woman he doesn't know anymore who did something unspeakable. And he's complicit in it now.
In the price, the cat took the damage to save the family. In not waving, the family, or Nancy at least, destroyed the cat to save the relationship, or at least to maintain her control over it.
It's the ultimate violent rejection of the feline mystique. Nancy refused to let the stranger in. She consumed it. Literally.
Which brings us to our synthesis. We've looked at cats as guardians, as shifters, as gateways to heaven and hell, and as victims. What is the common thread here? Why are we writing so much and in such varied ways about cats?
I think it goes right back to what Datlow said in the intro. It's because they're strangers. Because they are strangers, they are perfect blank slates.
Yes, they are mirrors.
Exactly. In No Heaven, the cats mirrored the painter's desire for comfort and community. In The Price, the cat mirrored the family's hidden vulnerability. In Not Waving, the cat mirrored Mark's desperate desire for freedom and magic.
And in Catch, the cat mirrored the fragility and the exhaustion of the marriage.
Precisely. We project our deepest fears and our most profound desires onto them. You know, if a dog looks at you, you think, he loves me. If a cat looks at you with those unblinking eyes, you think, what does he know?
And that one question, what does he know? That's the question that opens the door to all of these stories. Maybe he knows the devil is on the porch. Maybe he knows he used to be a human boy named Small. Maybe he knows you're deeply unhappy in your marriage.
And that, I think, is the aha moment for me in this whole collection. In almost every single story we discussed, the cat is the catalyst. The cat forces the human characters to reveal their true nature.
That's a great point. The taxi driver reveals his deep kindness because of the cat.
The wizard Watkin reveals the depths of his grief. Nancy reveals her shocking cruelty.
The cat walks into the room, and suddenly, the human mask slips.
That is a profound way to look at it. They aren't just pets, they're truth tellers.
Or truth forcers.
Yeah, that's better. Truth forcers.
Right. So we've reached the end of our roadmap. We've gone from the heroic black cat fighting the devil on the porch to the tragic chestnut cat in the trash bag.
It's been a journey from the light into the dark and back again for sure.
So here's our final thought for you, the listener. Tonight, when you go home and you see your cat sitting there, maybe washing a paw, maybe just staring intently at a blank corner of the ceiling, ask yourself a question.
If that stranger in your house could speak, really speak, what would it offer you?
Would it offer to fight a demon for you, to take your pain onto itself? Would it offer you a suit of its own skin so you could unzip your life and escape into a new one?
Or would it demand you finally pay the price for all the secrets it has watched you keep in silence from the foot of your bed?
I'm going to go home and give my cat some extra treats, I think, just to be on the safe side.
Probably a wise move.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious.